Hello, so this week has been a lot more chill than last week. It started off kind of stressful, but honestly it's been a pretty good week. I started out by carving pumpkins with Rylan and his family, and I got gas and paid way too much for it. I ate some good food with my dad from First Watch. I watched the movie The Terrifier with Molly and her dad, and it was about a clown, and it was so stupid, but we were so into it. And then we did some filming for our English fiction film, and I'm really excited about how that's going to turn out. But I just got back from Campaigners, which is my Young Life small group with just us girls, and it was really good. So I thought maybe I'd share some Jesus talk with y'all. So let's get into it. Okay, so this year we are going through the book of John, and I'm really excited about it because almost all my favorite verses are from John, and we kind of tie into Luke. But to kick off, we normally talk about our highs and our lows, which is the best and the worst of our week. We meet every Thursday, sometimes at people's houses, most of the times at Kinsey's, and most of the time we stay after closing, and they probably hate us. So this is my Bible. I think it's super cute. It's got like stencil design on it, and when you flip through, you can't see, there are a ton of pictures, and it's super cute, and it honestly makes me take it out more and read more because I like the drawings and stuff like that. But like I said earlier, we are going through John, and today we didn't get too much into the study because we were talking about our week and some things that are happening and stuff like that, but we really touched on grace. And I feel like grace is something that a lot of people don't truly understand what it means, and I think I probably still don't. I feel like as humans it is really hard for us to understand, and it's definitely something I need to work on. To me, grace means undeserved forgiveness, and when you say it, it sounds so simple, but to actually do it, it's really hard, because normally, say you're mad at that person, you don't want to give them grace because you're not over it yet, or you're just not ready, or you don't think they deserve it. But that's exactly what it means, because that's what God does for us, so we should be able to do it to other people. Our passages were from Luke 5:1 through 11, and basically, to sum it up, men were out and they were fishing, and there were no fish, not even a single one in their nets, and they were really hopeless. And then Jesus came and he was like, hey, throw your nets out, get them, like toss them out and trust me. And Peter didn't really trust him, but they still threw him out, and they pulled him back in, and it was full of fish. They had to call the boat across from them over, and they filled both boats full of fish. And that was all because of Jesus and the others believing in them. And since Peter didn't, Peter said, When Simon Peter saw it, he fell down at Jesus' knees, saying, "Depart from me, for I am a sinful man." For he and all who were with him were astonished at the catch of the fish which they had taken. And so were James and John, the sons of Zebedee, who were partners with Simon. And then this was our memory verse. It says, "And Jesus said to Simon, 'Do not be afraid. From now on you will catch men.' So when they had brought their boats to land, they forsook all and followed him." So basically what that's saying is they're going to go find more followers of him and go show his love for other people, and that grace, his grace, will be more valuable than what the fish can bring to them and the money that they'll get from the fish. Obviously this is my interpretation of this. Some people can read it and think something totally different, but I just think it's incredible that they didn't catch any fish. He said, "Hey, toss them out." They got 2 boatloads full of fish, and they both started to sink. And Peter's like, "Hey, like I'm a sinner. Like, I'm so sorry that I did that." He's on his knees begging to Jesus, like, "I'm so sorry." And Jesus is just like, "It's okay. I still love you." And the next passage that we went over was John 8:1 through 12. And it's about the adulteress facing the light of the world. And to sum it up, to me, the Pharisees are just a group of bad men who believe they are superior and that they're perfect, they're not sinners, and they're super judgmental, and basically they judge and condemn everyone who they see. And so Jesus is just chilling. He's writing on the sand and talking to other people about him and teaching other people. The Pharisees bring a woman up, and it says, "Then the scribes and the Pharisees brought to him a woman caught in adultery. And when they had set her in the midst, they said to him, 'Teacher, this one was caught in adultery in the very act. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned. But what should you say?'" And it was more of a test when they asked him that, because they were like, okay, well, if you were really God, like if you were really Jesus, then you would be like, yeah, stone her. But instead he didn't listen, and he just continued to trace in the sand. And they just kept asking him over and over again. And when he raised himself up, he said to them, "He who is without sin among you, let him throw a stone at her first." And again he stooped down and continued writing in the sand. Then those who heard it, being convicted by their conscience, went out one by one, beginning with the oldest even to the last. And Jesus was left alone, and the woman standing in the midst. When Jesus had raised himself up and saw no one but the woman, he said to her, "Where are those accusers of yours? Has no one condemned you?" She said, "No one, Lord." And he said to her, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." Then Jesus spoke to them again, saying, "I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall not walk in the darkness, but have the light of life." And I feel like a lot of people feel like we have the right to judge and condemn people for their mistakes and their actions. And I know I'd be a hypocrite to say that I don't, because I know that I do, and it's something that throughout the series I hope to get better at and be able to give people grace like he does. And I think that's a lifelong mission, but you gotta start sometime. And I think we get so caught up in other people's actions, and we're so judgmental nowadays about what other people do, but in all reality we don't have the right to judge them. We don't have the right to condemn that person. And I think it's crazy that we try to, because he is the only one who really can. And that's something that I struggle with. I feel like that's something that a lot of people struggle with. But we can't say that because we're all sinners. And I don't know. It's just something to think about. I know I struggle with my relationship with Christ a lot, but if there is anyone else watching this other than you, Miss Short, I hope you know that God does love you, and although you may feel guilty for certain things that you do, or you may not think he's there sometimes, he's always there. He doesn't turn his back on us. It's us who turn our backs on him. And he is good. He is so good. And I don't know. I am excited for this series, and I'm excited for my relationship to grow with him. So I hope that was a good little short Jesus talk, and I'll see you next week.